Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me back again with another video tutorial of the challenges, continuing from the last one in functional programming. All right, so let's get diving let's get diving into the exciting part now. Cool. So it says understand the hazards of using imperative code. Functional programming is a good habit. It keeps your code easy to manage and saves you from sneaky bugs. But before we get there, let's look at an imperative approach to programming to highlight where you may have issues. In English and many other languages, the imperative tense is used to give commands. Similarly, an imperative style in programming is one that gives the computer a set of statements to perform a task. Often, the statements change the state of the program, like updating global variables. A classic example is writing a for loop that gives exact direction to iterate over the indices of an array. In contrast, functional programming is a form of declarative programming. You tell the computer what you want done by calling a method or a function. JavaScript offers many predefined methods that handle common tasks, so you don't need to write how the computer should perform them. For example, instead of using the for loop mentioned above, you could call the map method which handles the details of iterating over an array. This helps to avoid semantic errors like the off by off, off by one errors that were covered in the debugging session. So now I'm pretty sure you guys must be wondering what the hell is semantic errors. I forgot saying. Right. So semantic errors are the kind of errors in which your program does execute, but the logic of what it's supposed to do is incorrect. So in short, it's syntactically correct, but logically wrong. Hence, it gives the wrong results as well. Cool. So consider the scenario: you're browsing the web in your browser and want to track the tabs you have opened. Let's try to model this using simple object-oriented code. A window object is made up of tabs, and you usually have a more uh, sorry, so you usually have more than one window open. The titles of each open site in each window object is held in an array. After working in the browser, opening which means opening new tabs, merging windows and closing tabs, you want to print the tab that are still open. Closed tabs are removed from the array and new tabs get added to the end of it. The code editor shows an implementation of this functionality with functions for tab open, tab close, and join. The array tabs is part of the window object that stores the name of the open pages. Alright, now it shows us the instruction what we need to do. Run the code editor. Run the code in the editor. It's using a method that has side effects in the program, causing incorrect output. The final list of open tab should be this array, but the output will be slightly different. Work through the code and see if you can figure out the problem, then advance to the next challenge to learn more. Alright, cool. So let's move ahead to find out the. Alright, so says that this output. So this should be the output. Oops, my bad. So this should be the output. So FB Gitter, Reddit, Twitter, Medium, new tab, Netflix, YouTube, Wine. So Wine isn't in there. Gmail, Workmail, Docs, Free Code Camp, and new tab. Right, guys. So I think the problem here is that the splice function used in the tab close function. Alright, so basically what a splice function does is it changes the original arrays. So if you have an original array called FB, Gitter, Reddit, Twitter, Medium, for example, and it will the index will be the index is taking in as a parameter. Okay, so the first first argument of splice is the index that you want to start adding or removing items, and then the second index is how many items does it wants to remove. Alright, so I think that the problem is with this splice function that once it's applied on the original array, it won't keep that array in the original state. So coming forward from here and onwards, we're gonna be always working with a modified array. So instead of here is returning, it's giving us the final tab. It will always give us the modified array instead of the original array. Alright, I really hope you understand this concept. Yes, it is a bit complicated to get around, get your head around, but if you have any questions or if it's still not clear, do leave me a comment in the video and I'll make sure I'll go back to you. Alright, so let's see if our understanding is correct. So this one is saying avoid mutation and side effects using functional programming. So if you haven't already figured it out, the issue in the previous challenge was the splice call in the tab close. Perfect. Yes, I was right. Unfortunately, splice changes the original array is called on, so the second call to it used a modified array. Cool. And gave unexpected results. Perfect. This is a small example of much larger pattern. You call a function or on a variable, array, or an object, and the function changes the variable or something in the object. Right. One of the core principles of functional programming is not to change things. Alright, very important principle. Changes lead to bugs. It's easier to prevent bugs knowing that your functions don't change anything, including the function arguments or any global variable. The previous example didn't have any complicated operations, but the splice method changed the original array and resulted in a bug. Recall that in functional programming, changing or altering things is called mutations. Alright, so if you're changing or altering things, that process is called mutation. And the outcome is called the side effect, obviously, because it's a wrong outcome. That mutation or that changing and altering process has an outcome which produces wrong result, hence it's called the side effect. A function ideally should be pure function, which means that it should not change anything at all, meaning that uh, it does not cause any side effects. Let's try to master this principle and not alter any variable or object in our code. Fill in the code for the function incrementer, this one. So it returns the value of the global variable, this one. Fixed value increased by 1, this one. Right, so how we gonna do this? The goal is to not change the value of this fixed value, however, return new value and assign 5 in this function. So we're gonna code this function here, so it returns a 5, and when the incremental function is called on this when we call the in incre the sorry guys incremental function, and then it should give us 5 as a result, then that 5 is assigned to this new value variable. So how are we going to do that? Yes, you guessed it right. Return keyword and then fixed value plus 1. Now remember, we're not changing the value of this fixed variable, alright? So this should work. Fixed value, yep, return, yep. Okay, cool. So just as an just as a precaution, do not uh, do not increment the variable itself in this way. It won't work. All right, because this is functional programming. You're not allowed to change the values of the variables itself. All right, here we go. Perfect. So once that's done, let's move on to the next challenge. Boom shakalaka. Right, so this one's about pass arguments to avoid external dependence in a function. Right, so the last challenge was a step closer to functional programming principle, but there is still something missing. We didn't alter the global variable value, but the function incrementer would not work without the global variable fixed value being there. Another principle of functional programming is to always declare your dependencies explicitly. This means if a function depends on a variable or object being present, then pass that variable or object directly into the function as an argument. Right, so what this paragraph is saying that, for example, in this function, we need the global variable to be present here as well, which is fixed value. Although we can use the fixed value directly here, but in another principle of functional programming, we have to be specific. Even though this variable, I mean the global variable, isn't required to be present in this parameter, we have to specify this variable this in this parameter to be and be really explicit. All right. So there are several good consequences from this principle. The function is easier to test. You know exactly what input it takes, and it won't depend on anything else in your program. This can give you more confidence when you alter, remove, or add new code. You know, sorry, you would know what you can or cannot change, and you can see where the potential traps are. Finally, the function would always produce the same output for the same set of inputs, no matter what part of the code executes it. Let's update the incrementer function to clearly declare its dependencies. So we add fixed value over there. Yeah, perfect. Write the incrementer function so it takes an argument and then increases the value by 1. So it takes the argument and then we increase its value by 1 by doing, I believe, it's fixed value, oops, fixed value plus 1. And I believe this should work. Yes, checkmate. Brilliant. You're doing pretty well, guys. Keep it up. Alright, let's move on to the next challenge. Refactor global variables out of the function. Alright. So far, we have seen two distinct principles for functional programming. Don't alter the variable or object. Create new variables and objects and return them if need be from a function. Alright. Don't alter them directly. Declare function arguments. Any computation inside a function depends only on the arguments and not on any global object or variable. Adding 1 to a number is not very exciting, but we can apply these principles when working with arrays or more complex objects. Now it says refactor the code, so the global array book list, which is this one, is not changed inside either functions. Alright. The add function should add the given book name, yep, this one, to the end of the array, which we can do, I believe, with a push method. The remove function should remove the given book name from an array. Both functions should return an array and any new parameters should be added before the book name 1. Perfect. So first of all, let's read the requirements again and refactor the code to the global variable, the global array book list, which is this one here, is not changed. What does that tell you? Yes, we need to create a copy of that list. So what I'm gonna do is start off by creating a copy of the list, but first before I go ahead and make that amendment straight away, there's one more thing we need to do is this function isn't taking this book list as a parameter. R- Remember, in functional programming, uh, we can't access this book list directly. It's got to be through an argument or a method. So I'm gonna pass that global variable as a method in the function. I mean, as a parameter in the function. So I would call it list of books. All right. And now, because I've got this global, the global variables parameter here in the function as a parameter, now I can go ahead and create uh, the 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 um, the copy of it. All right. So what I'm gonna do is let's this one I'm gonna give it a name as new book list. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory as well. So new book list, and this will be a copy of my list of books. Alright, so now I'm not dealing with the original array at all. I mean, I'm not dealing with the original list at all, but I'm gonna be modifying only this new list in which I've saved a copy of the list of books. Alright, so let's do book new book. So the new book list, and then push it and then return new book list. Alright, and this will give me the new list that I've pushed the new book's name in. Alright, cool. So now that's done, and you can see over here it takes a brief history of time. So by adding it, it should be appearing here as well. A brief history of time. Alright. First of all, let's just do the remove method as well. So if I show you, it will be taking in the new book list, which is this one. Here we go. A brief history of time. But I need to do the other one now. Hang on, let me just do it this way and see if that improves. Okay, now ignore me. I was just experimenting something. So return new book list. Alright. So that one's appearing here. Perfect. Now what I want to do is remove the newly inserted. Okay. Hang on. Let's just go here step by step. Then add function should add the given book name to the end of the array. Alright, which is done here. I'm pushing it over. Yep, that one's done. Then what I want to do is the remove function should remove the given book name from an array. So here's the remove function. Same thing here. Pass it the variable. Pass it the thing. I mean, hang on. I forgot to do one thing. See how it's uh, how it's part how the arguments are passed here. We need to follow exactly this order. So book list comes first. So here is coming in second. So we need to remove that to the first argument. All right. Now it should be fine. All right. See how it's coming up here? A brief history of time. Perfect. Now we need to do the same, and this one I will also give you a parameter of list of books, and then I'm gonna be creating a copy of that. So same variable here, and then create a copy of list of books. All right, cool. So now forget this original list. We are not working with it. We will be only working with the new book list now. So paste that, and now we need to check whether the book name parameter is in our new array. So we're doing it by checking if it's 0 or greater than that. If it is present, then we need to remove the book name using the splice method from the array. So uh, from the new array or list, whatever you want to call it. All right, so I'm gonna do pass it the new book list. All right, new book list, and then the index of I'm gonna I'm gonna remove that particular index from it. I mean the index on which the book this book name is. All right, so book name, perfect. And then I'm gonna just remove one item. So this part is which item you wanna start from. I mean which item you wanna from which index you wanna start removing. So I said that I wanna start removing from the index that has this book name. All right, and I wanna continue to remove just one item. Okay, and if we see now, if we'll remove it when we return the method, I mean the array. So I'm gonna just return the new book list. Perfect. Alright guys, and this should do it for this challenge, hopefully. And both functions should return an array, and any new parameters should be added before the book name 1. Alright, so list of books, yep, that looks good. Book list on the electromagnet electrodynamics or moving bodies, and then this one as well. Perfect. So let's run the test. Yes, we passed it. Off the hook you guys are. I'm, I'm so proud of you. Keep up the good work, guys, and I really hope you're learning a lot. Alright, let's move on to the next challenge. Oops. Alright, so this one's about you use the map method to extract from an array. Cool. So far we have learned to use pure function to avoid side effects in a program. Also, we have seen the value in having a function only depend on its input arguments. This is only the beginning. As its name suggests, functional programming is centered around a theory of functions. It would make sense to be able to pass them as arguments to other functions and return a function from another function. Functions are considered first-class objects in JavaScript, which means they can be used like any other objects, that they can be saved in variables, stored in an object, or passed and passed as function arguments. Let's start with some simple array functions, which are methods on the array objects prototype. In this exercise, we are looking at array prototype method, which is called a map or simply map. Remember that map method is a way to iterate over item in an array. It creates a new array without changing the original one after applying a callback function to every element. Right, cool. So the watch list array holds objects with information on several movies. You use map to pull the title and rating from watch list and save the new array in this rating variable. The code in the editor currently using a for loop to do this. Replace the for loop functionality with your map expressions. Perfect. Let's get started. Right, cool. So we need to extract, say, the title and the ratings of each film. So title and ratings, which is here, title and ratings, which is here. Alright, you guys get the point, I'm pretty sure. Alright, cool. So it's said there it's already implemented this solution with a for loop. However, we need to implement it with a map function. Interesting times. Let's get down to it. We're gonna be assigning the function to the ratings array. So say ratings, and then what are we going to be assigning the map function on? The watch list. Okay, so that would be watch list and map function, and then point a function. Oops, my bad. And that will take in an I, and there will be a function by itself. Alright, so now what do we want to do? We want to take each object of films, which is an individual object, okay, in this array or list. We want to take its title and ratings and display it in this array or list, or whatever you want to call it again. So I'm gonna return, so I will do return and the object itself. So basically what map does is it creates a copy of the array, and then without changing the original array, it returns the new one, which is a new one. Yeah, So essentially we don't have to do all these steps manually, as in create the new array which is like this, as in ratings, and we are creating a new array in this manner. No, we don't have to do that. So all we need to do is map does all this stuff for us. All we need to do is tell it what we want the new object to be as. So in this case, we want the ratings and the title. So what I'm gonna do is say my I, which has individual properties of the object in watch list. So I'm gonna iterate over I and say I need title first. So I'll do yes, I need title. And what's the second one I need? I need. Hang on a minute. Let me just do this uppercase. Okay, cool. So I need ratings as well, which is i.imdb ratings. Perfect. So now, what does this? Why does it give us this squiggly red annoying lines for? Because we have to give the property as well. So this will bring the values of it, and we still have to give them the properties. So this will be the properties. Here we go, title and ratings. Okay, now that's been done. Let's see if we pass the code. Pass it. Yes, Thundercats. Ho ho. Right. So let me just go again over this map method. So essentially, map it it creates a brand new array with the results of the calling function, which is this one. So we don't have to specify those individual steps, as in create the array and then loop through each element of the array and then do this. Go back and do those steps again until the for loop, for loop conditions this satisfies or terminates. We can just use the map method to, so it will create a brand new array and put these the result of this function in that array itself. So in which case the brand new array is rating, and here we're just returning the ratings array. Alright, cool. I really hope you understood the concept, guys, because this is fundamental to software software development, and I really hope you enjoyed the videos. Again, if you have got any questions or are curious about something that I forgot to explain, please leave me a comment and I'll make sure I answer every single question. Alright, until then, have fun coding and I'll see you in the next video.